McCombs Enterprises, this is Jana. Good morning, Mr. McCombs. How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Oh, so who are you?
Well, I'm a 6'3" Texan. I was very fortunate. I was born in Texas, raised in Texas, and it's had a lot to do with who I am and what I have been.
What is it you do for a living?
Well, I am a businessman that is quite energetic in that I like to be involved in a lot of different functions at the same time. And I have built my role in business primarily through retail automobiles, wholesale automobiles, the sporting community. I've been a successful owner of professional sports teams for 32 of my years. But I always have several companies. I'm quite entrepreneurial. I was 22 when I first got started. I had finished 6 years of college. I got out of high school when I was 16. I was a pretty good student. I had planned to be a lawyer, but I found out in law school, which I enjoyed very much, the study of the law, but I didn't like the confining nature of the practice of law. And I realized I really wouldn't want to do that as my primary source of marketing something. So I finished my time in law school immediately. I'd already begun selling cars. I liked it. It liked me, and the rest is history. I am in the National Auto Dealers Hall of Fame. I'm in 7 different halls of fame for different things. But in automobiles, in 1950, when I started just as a salesperson, I developed a program myself that now is copied by virtually all dealers. So it's not anything new or different, but it was new or different when I started. So that gave me a little leg up, and I've never slowed down. First and foremost, if I'm involved in anything, I like to be in a leadership role. And by leadership role, I'll do the grunt work or whatever it takes. But if you want me to be a leader of the gang, I'd like to do that. And in doing that, you don't win every time, but you win a lot of times. So I've encouraged people to start their own business. I've loaned people that I hated to lose in my business because they were very productive, but they get an opportunity. I help them get the money. I've actually loaned many of them. And I'd say there's at least 100 people that have become very, very wealthy that came under my umbrella. And they're in all different kinds of businesses.
And so, I know your name is Mr. Red McCombs, so how did you get the nickname Red?
Well, I had flaming red hair and all the freckles and all that go with it. And I was the only redheaded kid in Spur, Texas, which had about 1,600 population. And my dad got a lot of jokes pulled on him about having this redheaded kid. But right along after me came my little brother, as I would say, and he was marked the same way. So obviously, my mother and my father were carrying the genes that need to connect the two to get the red hair and the light skin and the freckles.
Oh, okay. Well, I like your hair color today. It's very dashing. Yeah, very handsome. Now, what is your favorite meal and why?
Well, my favorite meal, if I had one left, would be barbecue, and probably barbecue beef with lots of sauce and a good number of sliced onions around. And that would be my favorite meal. My favorite dessert would be probably apple pie, or anything that was milk-based, cream, whatever, ice cream, whatever. But that would make up my favorite meal.
What year did you begin working? How old were you, and how long?
I began working early on because we lived in a little country town of 1,600 people. We were about 2 blocks off of a highway running north and south, and we had pretty good traffic coming and going, and there was a service station with a little convenience store part, which we didn't have convenience stores. I was born in 1927, but I started hanging out there and asking the man if I could help clean his place up, and he said, well, sure, I'd be happy. And he'd give me a dime for doing that. Then, do you mind if I count those people's groceries out? And I was all of 10 years old. Well, are you sure you can handle it? Well, we'll take 2 sacks, put it in. So I've always had a way of staying busy. I've always had a way of earning money. I attended great colleges and universities for 6 years, and never got ever a nickel from home or my parents or that. I did get athletic scholarships, and I was a very good student also.
What was your original goal when you began working?
Just to try to make some money that day, and I would not feel good if I didn't. And through all of that experience along the way, I developed a program that I call Expect to Win. And in life, everyone wants to win. That's normal. They should. I did too. But there was a preacher in Tulsa that built a university, a medical school, and a law school, all off of expecting a miracle. And that was the use of the Bible. And I was fascinated by what he had been able to do. He wasn't even college educated, Oral Roberts, but he built the great complex that's still operating today by expecting a miracle. And he used radio and television to get the funds in. I was fascinated by that, impressed with it, copied a lot of it. I told him I was really excited about what he had done and accomplished. And he said, I said, looks like that you've pretty well got it put together. And he said, oh, no. He said, we have other things we want to do. He said, as long as God gives me breath. And I realized that when you start talking about equality and these kind of things, this is my opinion. There is only one area where we're totally equal, and that is 24 hours a day. That is God-given. We don't earn it. We don't deserve it, but everyone gets the same. You say, well, I got a little more to do, so God, give me 26 hours. Well, that's not going to happen. God, I don't feel like working today, so cut me back to 20. That's not going to work. So 24 hours, expecting to win. What do you have to do to expect to win? You got to train your mind to first prepare yourself to whatever the mission is, and then to execute your preparations. If you do that, you're going to feel good about it, and you'll do well. And you'll probably win more than not.
Thank you for the great advice. What is your favorite car, year, and why?
I am not a car buff, although I have marketed every brand known to mankind, even wholesale. I've had many alignments over the years with manufacturers, particularly in Asia, and I see a car is a product that in every country in the world, people want a car. And we sit here doing this filming, by a great expressway, and if you were to look out there, you'd see hundreds of cars going 24 hours a day, both directions, because somebody wants your car. So you have a product that people want, and you just have to convince them to take your product rather than the guy down the street.
Who is or was your mentor, and what is or was your relationship with them?
I've always had mentors because I've always looked up to heroes, and some of them became my mentors. But the one from the business angle was a man that I met through a friend of mine who was an attorney, but he also was a retail auto dealer. And he asked me would I want to work with him some after school and summers and such, and got me interested in that. Now, without him coming along, I wouldn't have had any interest in that because I wouldn't know that there was such a market out there. I knew that I couldn't wait till I got my first car. My dad was a technician to repair cars, but he was never into the ownership or management of any facilities. And I just saw that he worked hard 6 days a week, and I didn't see anything so funny about that. What I did see was people all wanted, including me, all wanted, even if they had a new car, if they could, they really would like to have that other one over there, which costs about $10,000 more. So I found people liked the product. The effect on me was that my boss said, I'm going to talk to the representatives of the various manufacturers and see if you can get you a dealership of your own. And he set that up, and I'll always be very, very much aware that he is the one that showed me how he got me started, and the rest is all self-propelled. I was a wannabe. I was an athlete in the lower grades in high school. I found in college it was a little more difficult. And my particular sports were football and baseball. And then I realized that, for example, in San Antonio, which became my home base in January 1958, I had the opportunity to have a rather large Ford deal in the market, and the manufacturers saw that I did very well, and they solicited me to represent them in Dallas and Houston. So I took off in pretty big strides early on, and I was able to secure financing for that. People believed in me, and which you have to have capital, and so it's something that a lot of people would call work. I call it things I like to do, and if I'm not working for whatever reason, I like to read, and primarily books of individuals and their successes, and are books that lead you to think about how you might do better or what you're doing. And I think that the thinking part is a big part of it. That's another thing. And we all are given the same time. What do you do with it?
What do you enjoy doing most about your work?
Well, I like for it to be successful. I like to know that I have, I realize that everything that I do in selling or putting people into programs or this sort of thing, they're paying money for something that I believe will help them to succeed and do better. So I feel good about that. I feel good. I kind of do a census on myself. I learned early on that I needed to really realize, what did I do today? What did I do today that not only earned money, but what did I do today that helped somebody else? What did I do today that I made a difference in somebody's life, and the difference was a very good difference. So if I found a day that I really hadn't done anything much or accomplished anything much for myself or someone else, I really can't wait to start the next morning and catch up on the time that I might have not been doing anything. But I consider yourself productive if you're listening to some of the technology programs that you get online or whatever. There's every kind of opportunity in the world to get information, and libraries in every market in the world. So you can always stay busy. Somebody says, I don't have anything to do. Really? No kidding. Well, you better think twice, because the day the sun's going down and this day's going to be over. So get off your ass and do something. Nothing happens till somebody does something. You can have these imaginary things and dream all you want to, which is nice, that's fun, but it doesn't buy the next tamale. You need to do something that's beneficial to somebody else that you get paid for.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What motivates you?
I'm self-motivated. Very well. I mentioned to anyone that wants to know a little about my background, I like to be in a leadership role, and that gives you opportunities you wouldn't have otherwise. And most people are happy to let somebody else do it. So it plays right into what I like to do.
How did you learn to be self-motivated?
Well, I saw the rewards of being self-motivated. And no one could create that except for me, and I had to decide, just wanting something is not enough. What are you going to do to get it? And the thing to do is to start like right now to get it. So that's out there for everyone. Everyone gets the same, 24 hours a day. You can mess around and do nothing, I guess, and make some people happy. It would not make me happy.
What would you like the world to know about you?
I'd like the world to know about me is that I'm gracious. I'm grateful to God for being born to loving and caring parents. They taught me more than anyone else. And they were not moneyed people, they were not wealthy. The grandparents on both sides were sharecroppers, never owned anything, just barely making things work. So what I'd like for people to know about me is that people say, well, you're self-made. No one is self-made. We all get there in the arms of other people, and a lot of help along the way. And I like to be one of those that also has helped along the way. And I will continue to do that. I had my 90th birthday just recently, and I'm not quite as mobile as I would like to be, but I still can think pretty good, I think.
Yeah. When was your 90th birthday?
October the 19th.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. You don't seem 90. You seem like you're in your 70s.
You made my day. This is over.
What words of wisdom can you pass along to the next generation?
Be excited about that gift that you got when you woke up this morning. Be grateful to God that you got another chance to do good things, and get up and go do them.
Okay, we will. What do you like to do when you aren't working?
Well, I don't really consider what I do as work, and so that doesn't fall into. I see people that have to do hard drudgery type work, and I don't know how they get a pleasure out of it, but they do. I guess you get pleasure out of it by being able to pay the rent and buy food and such. But I get a lot of pleasure out of the things that I do, and I've been able to, in all different ways, to access capital that allows me to do the things I want to do.
Nice. How do you measure success?
I measure success for what you've done that helps someone else. Then you'll realize that made you a better guy.
That really made me think. What are your hopes for the future generations?
Well, I think the future generations are going to have so many tools, if that's the right word, but our systems of information are growing by leaps and bounds, and everyone certainly has access to information that at one time you might not have been able to get. So you can kind of pick and choose what you'd like to improve yourself in, and make that a part of your life's toil.
And what would you invest in?
I invest in everything from A to Z if I feel like it is going to be profitable, and it's something that others would gain from too. So I like, if you look at America and the history of America, everyone that's ever had any wealth, not just the richest people in America, but everyone's ever had any kind of wealth, ended up giving it away. Most of it giving it to their family as they pass on out of this world, but also giving it to others as you pass on out of this world. And they feel good about it, and they should. So opportunity is there. We just have to decide how we're going to participate in the game.
Thank you. If you had to do it all over again, would you have done anything differently?
I would have done many things differently. And when I hear someone say, well, if I had it to do over again, I haven't done so well, but I would do exactly the same thing. Well, that's somebody that's either lying or they're stupid. Of course we'd do it again. We'd try to do it better.
Several times you mentioned God. How do you feel? Do you want to talk a little bit about God, or?
Well, I think that your feeling of a greater power that connected you to this earth is meaningful. A lot of people don't think so, and that's okay. I have no problem with people that think there is no higher level. I happen to believe that there is, and I think that God is the person and the program, and they'll never fail you. But if those think otherwise, then I don't have any problem with that. It's just sorry what they're missing.
We want to help people by offering these classes for them, because we see a lot of people having to restart their lives. They lose their jobs and they have to kind of restart everything and re-identify what is their identity, and they don't have the skills. So do you have any advice for us as to how to get these classes started?
Well, you have to keep looking and find it. You'll find it. And there'll be things that you won't be maybe totally comfortable with. You think, I better try this. So usually we go to someone who has been successful and say, what would you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody that would say, hey, I did all this by myself. Doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the great things about sports, because the team, if you're together with a common cause, then you're more apt to do better. If you're just going to go out and play for yourself, that's okay. You get recognition. You hit a home run. You stole a base. But that's not enough. You've got to help the next guy up. Say, hey, if you watch that guy, and when you see him do this, he's going to throw a curveball. Anyway, a lot of ways
Are you involved with any?
to be involved.
Are you involved with any nonprofits that have our type of
Oh,
goal or vision?
I think nonprofits are a part of the heartbeat of America. We have so many of them. They do good for so many people. We'll always have the advantage of nonprofits. In countries that don't do as well as Americans do, you don't have nonprofits. Those people have a tougher way to go. And you've got to, whatever you do, you got to do it within the rules and within the laws of the confines you're doing it in. And you can't change those until you get to station yourself in it. And then you can make some difference.
What are the secrets to your success?
I don't think there are any secrets. I think that's for really intellectuals that maybe invent something. There's nothing I do that requires that you do anything other than just do it. And if you have to learn something to do it, well, you go learn how to do it. But you must be active, and you've got to be active, and you've got to be stacked up to where you're just waiting to do something else. Like today, I've got 2 or 3 more things I've got to do. So thanks for the opportunity for the interview.
Thank you for interviewing with us and squeezing us into your schedule, knowing you're very motivated to do things every day.
Well, thank you so much. I was happy to do it.